Wouldn't it be nice to live a simpler life? The key to living a simple life is to identify what really matters and eliminate all the rest. Like, so many of us are really busy, we're overworked, we're overwhelmed, we're overloaded, we say yes to too much, our calendars are full to the max, we buy all these things maybe because we feel it's expected of us or because we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and we want everything, and with that we drown out what really matters. Now, to achieve a simpler life, we need to move beyond the belief that everything is important and everything needs to happen now. And instead, we need to start thinking like an essentialist. Now, a non-essentialist is someone who thinks everything is important and they want to do it all now. In order for something to be better, something needs to be added. Whereas an essentialist thinks that very few things are important and they only make time for the vital few rather than the trivial many. And in order for something to be better, something needs to be taken away. Thinking like an essentialist helps us to distinguish what's merely okay from what's truly, truly great. Now, to create a simpler life, we want, wherever possible, to eliminate the non-essentials in order to create space for what truly matters most to us. Now, the problem is that we have become attached to the things that we own. So in psychology, the endowment effect is the idea that we value objects and opportunities higher if we already own them versus if we didn't. And because of this, we find a hard time letting things go. So one way to live more intentionally is to get into the habit of challenging the endowment effect. Now, I didn't realise that I was already putting this in practice, but I did tell you that a while ago I helped my mum to declutter. Now, initially she said that she loved everything and wanted to keep everything, but then when I challenged her and I laid out everything on the floor and said, if these things didn't belong to you, would you buy them now? This allowed her to remove her attachment to her things, and it made it easier for her to let go. Now, this applies to not just your belongings, but your commitments too. So if you didn't have an opportunity to attend an event, would you put the time and effort to create the opportunity yourself? Now, if the answer is no, it is safe to say these things are non-essential to us, so we can make more space for the things that are essential by letting these things go or learning to say no. So getting into the habit of saying no is the most powerful tool in our arsenal to regaining time and creating a simpler life. When we don't say no, we end up spending our time doing things that we don't want to, attending things that we never wanted to go to in the first place, tidying up things we don't even want. So then when we say no, it's often asked, well, what things and when should we say no to these things? Unless it's a how yes, it's a no. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm under no illusion that it's like not hard to say no, because we have this deep-rooted desire to be liked and we don't want to let people down. We have this immense guilt when we say no to things. But we often forget that denying the request is not the same as denying the person. So just kindly and compassionately thank them for the thought and the invitation and firmly say it's not possible, but thank you, and then move on. And when these feelings do come up, where you feel this guilt and you don't want to be in this position, simply remember that the reason why you're saying no, you're not saying no for the sake of it. We're saying no to free up time and space so that we can say a big, massive yes to the essential few. Now, creating space is another way to live a simpler life. Like, so many of us are wanting to escape and go to a cabin in the middle of the woods, and the reason why that's so alluring is because it provides a digital, mental and physical breathing space and distances from all the daily stresses of life. Like, have you ever just wished that you could just go to the middle of nowhere where you had no phone signal and no one could get hold of you and just be? So why not kind of create this space in our everyday lives? And yes, this is absolutely possible. Now, it can be so challenging in our world because we have like our phones at our fingertips. There's like these social pressures to reply in an instant. There's even a blue tick on WhatsApp to say that you've read the message. And I, for one, have removed that because I do not want the pressure of having to reply straight away. And then once you've replied, the person then replies straight away, or they're replying before you even sent your message. Like, that's too much for me. So something is always competing for our attention. And, you know, the fresh content, for example, is so great for when it's like a dull moment. But the elimination of boredom has come at a cost. It's taken away like precious moments of quiet and moments of mental breathing space, which is so essential for our well-being. So instead of constantly reaching for our devices, like, let's nurture the habit of openly welcoming moments of idleness. Give our minds space to freely wonder. Like, I absolutely love just daydreaming and thinking about all the different possibilities, and give ourselves permission just to be and not have the guilt of not doing anything. And instead of looking for immediate distraction and going on Instagram and just scrolling, why not try and experience what's happening around us? So look at the shape of the clouds. You know, when we were kids and we used to try and work out what kind of animal it looked like in the sky? The noise of the wind through the trees, the sunlight, you know, the sound of the birds. In the video that I did with the lanterns, when I was playing it back, I could not believe how incredible the sounds of the birds were, and it was just amazing. And Dan and I were like, we didn't even realise that was like happening when we were doing it. And that's fine in some ways because we were so in the moment, but that sound was just amazing. It was like we kind of put an audio effect on it, which we didn't. But when we create mental breathing space, and when we learn to say no, and we eliminate the non-essentials, we can then better focus on the things that truly matter and what's really important. And it's then that we create a simpler life. And we don't need to have this where we just want to constantly escape, because we've created that in our everyday lives, because it's so possible. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's video, and remember to give it a thumbs up, and please comment with your thoughts. And thank you so much for being here and for showing up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. As you know, I do daily videos for self-improvement where I take you from ordinary living to an extraordinary life. So thanks again for watching. I'm sending you so much love and so much blessings, and I will see you again tomorrow.